It took me over 20 years and a baby to realize that something was wrong. I've been wanting to talk about this season of my life, but been afraid to lose the ones that I love. But silence is the residue of fear. The more you bottle it up, the more it eats at you. And I will no longer let fear control my life. Hi, I'm Mal. Welcome to Lil Ma Diaries, and this is my story of growing up in a cult and leaving it. For legal reasons, some names have been redacted, and most of the topics are controversial and may be triggering to most viewers. Topics include SA, racism, Nazi, death cult, misogyny, and much, much more. And if you discover who I'm speaking about, please don't harass or send hate. At the end of the day, the light will always prevail. Now let's begin. It all began with a pamphlet. I was 5 or 6 when my father came across the word. At the time, he was young and vulnerable, no clue on what to do. So when it came into his light, he ate it up. Every pamphlet, every tape, every word of the prophet. To me, my father was a superhero. My world as a kid. Everything he said was true, and I believed. And I did what I was told. Don't cut your hair. No heels, no sandals, no earrings, cosmetics, or painted toes. Stay away from fashion. No TV, nor outside music. Oh, and God forbid you show your knees. Thus saith the Lord. But who am I to question the prophet of God? Malachi 4, they called him. I was 6. Growing up, the end of the world was drilled into my head. 2 states will sink, mass destruction, our country to dust. And all denominations will band together to destroy us message believers in my lifetime. See, we are the bride, the chosen ones, the special ones, the oddball. I didn't think I'd see 18. Due to my upbringing, I grew up fast. I was thrown into adult situations. Aside from growing up in a doomsday cult and coming from a broken home, I dealt with a lot of abuse. Some of it influenced by the word. Silence was my virtue. I bottled up the trauma for many years. After I turned 18, I drank my memories away. Who cares? I broke the prophet's rules. So at this point, I'm doomed for hell. That's what I told myself. I didn't think I'd see my 20s. But light always overcomes darkness. At this point of my life, I joined the military, went to college, learned to fly, owned my home, and got married to my high school sweetheart, who, by the way, saved me from an abuser who I was engaged to since 15. I built back a relationship with my father after getting disowned for leaving my ex-fiance, and I was finally going to be a mother. Because of that, I wanted to get myself right with God for the sake of my children, so I played the tape. See, there's a weird phenomenon that happens during pregnancy. You begin to be hyper aware and question everything. After over a decade, I found myself back in the same place. After visiting family still in the cult, all I saw were red flags. Something didn't fit right in my spirit. So I did what I was told not to do. I Googled the prophet. There were many gifts the prophet proclaimed to have, specifically the gift of prophecy, discernment, and healing. And this spiritual awakening began after a ghastly gut work. From there, he began his journey. The prophet was mentored and ordained by Roy E. Davis, an imperial wizard of the KKK. And once Roy fled, he took over his circle. Paul Schaefer was a former Nazi medic from Germany and was the founder of Colonia Dignidad, a place where many Nazis fled to, a religious commune in Chile that became notorious for CSA torture, forced labor, and more. Before founding the colony, he was a member of the Word. He heard it, loved it, and served as the security team for the prophet. With that, Schaefer adopted many of his teachings to his commune, teachings that became a part of the authoritarian system that controlled his followers. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Welcome to the cult that expired over 900 of its followers. Jim Jones was the founder of the People's Temple. Before it was established, Jones was introduced through letters from the prophet, and after finally making contact, the prophet along with others helped promote Jones's growing ministry and also attended many of Jones's conventions. Over the years, other cults were inspired by the words of the prophet, even long after his death. The Shakabola Forest incident. It was 2023 when the massacre came to light. Over 400 people met their demise under Paul Mackenzie, a man who founded the Good News International Church in Kenya. Found along the scene were the very pamphlets I held growing up, a cult heavily influenced by the teachings of the prophet. I fell into a rabbit hole that seemed to never end. The deeper I went, the more bottled up memories began to unveil itself. Although there are many controversial takes the prophet has made, these two resonated with me the most because it was my life. One example was being told to marry my own race. According to the prophet, it's against God's law to marry outside your race. It creates hybrid breeding according to the prophet. Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Gentile, nor neither slave nor free, nor is there male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. The prophet also states that children born under wedlock will not be raptured nor 10 of their generations, referencing Deuteronomy for his claims, which is crazy because Deuteronomy 24:16 states that parents are not to be put to death for their children, nor children put to death for their parents. Each will die for their own sin. Aside of failed prophecies and people expiring after he claimed they were healed after praying over them, the prophet cherry picks, add words to scriptures, and twist it. For example, one of the claims was a snake diddled with Eve, that a man has a right to divorce his wife simply for cutting their hair, and so much more. I could go on, but at that point I was done. I questioned everything, and I knew if I came out and set my boundaries to not allow this false prophet nor his dangerous teachings into my life nor my children's lives, there was a possibility I would be cut off and disowned again. But I still felt some hope, because maybe they would look into it if new information was presented. I'm also his daughter, and if they could still have a relationship with my abuser despite knowing what was done to me, they wouldn't cut me off. But I was wrong. My fears became reality. All those years of rebuilding to trash, and it hurts. But at the end of the day, there's no way in hell I will put this in my children's lives. Fear, hate, racism, misogyny, and much, much more. It took me 20 years and a baby to see the truth. This is my story. It's been tough, but in the end, I know that God's got my back and the light will always prevail. See you in the next century. Subscribe.